Say welcome to the SIT operational test scenarios and test cases for theme 3. We'll go through the usual agenda whereby I'll go through the topic and then we'll stop for Q&A on each topic as we go through. If we can use Slido as usual for any questions, or if you can't use Slido or have any, then please raise your hand or pop it into the chat and we'll get to those. So if I get through the topic and then we'll do the Q&A after, but as I say, if there are any in between, then please do shout. Okay, so this will be recognisable to most. So just a quick overview. So we're looking at theme 3. This is the final workshop that we have planned against the 3 themes. And you'll see in here that DIP, onboarding, in-life and offboarding, is in both theme 2 and theme 3. That's because we've moved it out of theme 2 into theme 3. So we'll touch on that in this session as well. Operational processes, service management, and BCDR, business continuity and disaster recovery even. As we know, the operational execution should start on the 7th of October and we'll be working in the SIT-B environment. I should pause there quickly. Any questions or comments from anybody so far? Nope. Okay. So DIP, onboarding, in-life and offboarding. We did go through this in the theme 2 workshop, but because we've now moved it into theme 3, hence it's in the deck, and we can touch on it here again. So just to reiterate that the intention for this testing is to validate through test execution the steps and processes for onboarding a new user making in-life changes, e.g. changes to roles, certificate management, offboarding of a user, and the process for updating ISD once a user has been deemed as MHHS qualified. We haven't changed the scenarios for these so far, so these scenarios are still the ones that we're looking to do. So as I say, we've got a onboard happy path, onboard with errors, certificate renewal, replacement, changes. So the DIP user admin makes changes to their user roles, offboarding, and the in-life. We're still working through these scenarios to define the impacted parties for each scenario and to ratify any assumptions that we've made along the way. So I think we talked about this in theme 2, onboarding and offboarding. So onboarding, what we don't want to do is to disrupt participants, and we don't want to disrupt the execution.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? I think there's people waiting in the lobby.
Oh, beg your pardon.
Well, there was a minute ago anyway.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hopefully they're in now. Apologies if people were stuck in the lobby for a moment there. I couldn't see the screen, so my bad. Apologies for that. Thank you, Paul. Okay, let's just go back to here. The session is being recorded for those that have just joined, and we've just literally gone through the introduction and we've started talking about the DIP stuffs. So as I say, we're still working through the scenarios to look at which impacted parties for each scenario, and these will be in the test cases. So we want to see the art of the possible, really. So for the onboarding and offboarding, we need to ratify some assumptions that we've made as we've been doing the scenarios, and we've got a session set up next week which will hopefully give us those answers. The same for the renewal and the replacement. The in-life DIP participant changes to user roles, that's something we would expect participants to be involved in. And the DIP in-life qualification status update, again, we need to have discussions about who's going to be involved at which point, and we'll put all that within the test cases. Any questions, or is there anything anybody thinks is missing from this list initially? I'm just going to pop back to the screen so I can see if there's any questions. Nope. Okay. No questions on the DIP onboarding in life or offboarding. Okay, we shall move on. Next one is a very quick one. So everybody will know that when we wrote the test approach and plan document and subsequently put things into themes and started writing test scenarios, CR44 was added as a placeholder because at the time we were writing the test approach and plan, it was a CR that we had been given to assess and look at including. It's always been questioned by various people along the way because it hadn't been approved. We are removing CR44 from this operational testing because it doesn't align with the dates currently. So you won't see any scenarios within this operational testing that map to CR44. So that's just an update to that. Okay. Any questions on CR44? Nope. Okay. The next area that we want to talk about is service management. So here, the intention is to test any new interactions, integrations and processes through test execution between any users of the tool and the tool itself. So we'll be looking here, testing for service management to include that users can access the tool, raise, track and support tickets, as well as access the reporting and dashboards in the service management tool for all applicable functions. Now, we have put some scenarios together on the back of the service management strategy, service design. So I will show those in just a moment as a high level scenarios that we're looking to cover. And once we get the lower level design documentation, we can start doing the test cases for those to understand the actual flows and which parties are involved in each of the areas. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing this for a second and I will share the scenarios thus far for theme 3, service management. Excuse me. Okay, just make that a little bit bigger. So here we've got incident management. So as you can see, there's several scenarios here, a little bit bigger, for incident management. So we'll be looking around a major incident. We'll be looking at incident management that are the non-major areas. We're hoping to look at incident management where duplicate ticket is raised or requested, where a priority or severity change needs to happen against a ticket, and if there's any integration, where there's integration, tickets raised via monitoring or other tools. We've then got the service management dashboards and reporting area, problem management lifecycle, service catalogue, and we've got a rejected ticket, a modify an item and a remove an item there. Change request raised as standard and an emergency change request, and we've got some knowledge management, search, new item and remove item. So these are still being refined, and there will be, I would imagine there will be multiple test cases against each of these scenarios once we've ratified that these are the scenarios that need to be included and we understand which parties are involved in each of those. Okay. Anybody got any questions, comments or inputs to this area, service management?
There's just a question. Sorry, I was just going to read out a couple that have come through on Slido. So the first is supplementary due to character limit. If so, will SIP parties need to perform additional CR44 related operational qualification tests?
I think you're actually reading those in the wrong order.
Sorry.
The problem with Slido is you can only get a very short question in, so you have to break it over multiple questions. So the first question is regarding CR44. If this isn't covered in SIP due to timescales, will it be covered in qualification? And if it is covered in qualification, will SIP parties then be required to do additional CR44 related tests in order to qualify?
Okay, just scribbling that down, Chris. I know we've got it there. I don't know the answer to that here and now, but I will ask the question, and we'll come back to you on that one there. I'm not sure what the timelines are for it at the moment, but I will check and come back to you on that one.
Johnny may have the answer.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got the answer, but my understanding is that it's going post M10, Chris, which means it'll go through the normal BAU change process.
And that would be my third question, Johnny, which is if it goes past even qualification, then do parties need to qualify for things introduced after the qualification for waves?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give a definitive answer because I don't think I'm in a position to do so. But in my opinion, it would just it would be a normal change to either the REC or the BSc. And I think this one's a BSc change. We don't normally make people requalify for changes to codes. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be part of MHHS. It would be something that was delivered after MHHS went live. And I think this particular change mainly affects central parties anyway. It's a update from it's a realignment from PRS to EES and central systems, isn't it? And so yeah, but I think each change that goes in after go live would need to be judging its merits, and any testing, etc., judged through that change development. That's it.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So they're the service management scenarios that we've identified so far, but as I say, we are working through those, and any changes will obviously be communicated. So I should just go back, excuse me, sorry, to the sorry, excuse me. Sorry, right, back in the room. Okay. What is next? Operational processes. So operational processes, bearing in mind we're in operational testing, seems a bit of a daft title. So just expect to expand on that a little bit, but the intention of this testing is to validate through test execution processes, including message back off and retry, outages during send receive of messages, duplicate interface if messages, responses, reporting, and any applicable requirements, business and non-functional, that are not already covered in previous topics. So we're currently doing a sweep back across all of those to make sure that we've captured everything that should be in for operational testing. If we've missed anything, we'll currently put it into this bucket, so that the test cases and scenarios obviously come out for industry review and consultation. So it may also be that once we've done this topic and we've come up with the scenarios and the test cases, that these may then be put into previous themes. So if we find that actually, I don't know, the duplicate messages sits better in theme 1 business requirements, then we may move it there. So at the moment, this is, as I say, just a kind of bucket where we're picking up anything that doesn't naturally or hasn't naturally fallen into previous topics, and anything that we've missed through requirements. Okay. And within there, as I say, these are the kind of things that we're looking to test as part of the operational processes. Any questions on operational processes?
Julia, can you just elaborate on duplicate IF message responses?
Yes. So I can show you, I do believe. Okay. So this is where we've got, I haven't got the test ready, but it's where we've got a participant sends a if message, and could be a serve, a trans ID, where that message gets sent, it gets accepted, and then that same message is re-triggered for some reason, so that we should get the relevant response duplicate message. So we've got the message is resent, or another message is resent with the same trans ID or the same SIR as an example, to make sure that the validation happens, the right level of validation.
So in the case of the transaction ID, if you validated with the DIP provider that they can generate multiple duplicate messages with the same transaction ID, because clearly they're not supposed to, so it would require presumably some sort of intervention on their system to be able to do so.
Okay, no, we haven't, and yes, we will. So we'll put that on the list. We've got a session Monday, so I'll add that one on to the list for that one. Okay. Any other questions on this topic? Nope. Okay.
None have come through Slido.
Okay, thank you very much. The final topic that was in for theme 3 is BCDR, Business Continuity Disaster Recovery. We have yet to author the scenarios for this, as we're currently waiting for the BCDR designs, which kind of leads me on to the next part of the themes and next steps, etc. So I will go on to that slide. So themes, again, I'm just reiterating here how they look now and the changes that we've made to themes. So theme 1 hasn't changed. Theme 2, we did move stuff out of theme 2 into theme 3, which is the DIP onboarding, and CR44 we've removed from theme 2. This is the final workshop that we have. I'm very conscious that we've not given much detail. We've gone through obviously the topics and the intent for those topics in this session today, but not a lot of detail about who's involved, what the test cases will look like, etc. Now we're due to send out the test cases and scenarios for industry review on the 15th of July. Now I'm quite happy to put another session in, week commencing maybe the 8th of July, where we can give any updates, any changes to any of these topics, and indeed drill down a bit further. So particularly where we've got test cases, scenarios that impact the majority, if not all parties, then we can walk through those test cases and scenarios in a bit more detail. Is that something, maybe just a raise of hands, is that something that would be beneficial? I'm just quite conscious of, I don't want to be sending out the pack to you on the 15th, and actually it's changed dramatically from what we've talked about today.
I mean, previous examples, the scripts have been sent out and then they've done a workshop to walk through them and take any questions on them, so people turn up to the session having had some sight of them and therefore a chance to formulate some questions that they, rather than being presented them in the
other way round. Yeah, okay, we can do that. We can certainly do that. So we can either set up a wider session or bilaterals as we need to when those come out. I don't foresee that there'll be massive changes in the scope or the scenarios that we've got in the topics. But obviously,
I think the issue is in the detail, because as you say, there's not a lot of detail here, so it's very difficult to comment on what you're proposing to do until we see the detail of the tests that are proposed. Absolutely. So the scope may not change, but I think there is
the level of detail. Yeah, absolutely agreed. So yeah, we'll get those out, and then as I'm happy to have any sessions. If there is anything that majorly changes, then we'll let people know as those come in.
Julia, we've just had some questions come through on Slido. Is it okay for me to read those out?
Yep.
Okay, so we've what are the timelines for BCDR?
I don't know at the moment. I'm waiting for an update on when we'll get that design.
And will a workshop be scheduled for BCDR?
We can do, absolutely. So that is one that we just have not covered here at all. So once I've got the timelines, and then once we know what the scope of BCDR is, then we can arrange a workshop for that.
Okay, thank you. And then there was a question around reporting and whether it includes regulatory reports.
Examples, is it? I'm not sure who asked that, but what sort of?
We haven't had any other detail provided. Does whoever asked that want to come off mute and elaborate a teeny bit?
No, you can always email the testing mailbox as well. We can answer it via that way. And then I can let you know what we are covering in the reporting area versus not.
Okay, and then the final question that came through was, are the themes applicable to all participants? And is there any clear segregation of responsible parties?
So yes, the themes are applicable, or topics within each theme is applicable to all parties in some shape or form. That doesn't mean all the scenarios within those topics are. And again, what we've done is we've tried to signpost in the scenarios who is involved, and we can potentially put a matrix together that shows all of the scenarios, the themes, and the involved parties, that would help signpost going forwards. So the initial answer is yes, all themes will impact all parties in some shape or form.
Thank you. And just one more, sorry. As the themes have been published, will there be a similar detailed guidance issued for PIT, as it's a bit unclear on what needs to be achieved within the PIT?
Okay. PIT guidance is a separate discussion I'm having at the moment, so I have to take that one away and come back on that one. The
Thanks,
who, the
Julia.
when, the where, and the why. Maybe not the why, but the who, the when, and the where.
Cool. That's it from Slido for now. Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to the end very quickly of this Theme 3 session. So again, just to reiterate, any questions, any concerns, comments, etc., please feel free to mail the testing mailbox. We'll get the Theme 3 stuff out on the 15th of July, and Theme 1 and 2, just to give you an update, uplifted versions of those will be out back end of next week for people with comments, review. I can't get my words out again. Review forms as well. Okay. Okay, would anybody like to raise anything else?
It's probably worth saying here that the initial industry review window for Theme 3 was Monday, the 24th, I think it is, for a week, but that's been amended to 15th of July to the 22nd of July, and comms will go out shortly to the SIT working group this afternoon to let them know, but just wanted to say that here as well to avoid confusion.
Thank you, Annabelle. Thank you. That doesn't change the approval dates that we're working to. By moving out the review window doesn't we're still targeting the same approval dates for those. Okay, if there's no other questions, then thank you all very much for your time. As I say, we'll get these out to you by the 15th, if not before, and then we can arrange separate sessions and BCDR as well. Once we know when that design's come in, the scope, etc., we'll arrange a session with the relevant parties for that. Okay, thank you all very much indeed.
Thank you.